this point, I'm going to introduce Deb Fox. Deb is on our Friends of East Long Meadow Council on Aging board. So come on over.
Well, that was half of what I was going to say.
Sorry, I stole it.
Yeah, hi. Y'all know me. I'm Deb Fox, y'all. And I'm just happy that Friends of East Long Meadow, the Friends of East Long, is that better? Yeah. Are happy to present another Friday afternoon concert for you. Mark Munzert, our cowboy poet, is going to be singing and telling stories. You don't sing? He's going to be telling us stories. So anyway, and also, he's got this brand new book I want you all to come up and take a look at. But thank you very much for coming. We're all excited to have you.
Thank you, Deb. Thank you, Alicia. And now, hi-oh, Silva! This is the almost true story of my first ride. A horse and a boy on an Arizona hill, and a hanging on test of will. We just crowned a top and a snake on the trail, raised from a coil and rattling its tail. My horse goes to rearing, and off the trail we bent, brush and tree veering, faster and faster we went, till my knee whacked a tree, nearly turned me around. I knew I shouldn't be. I was upside down. The stirrups was the only thing holding me aboard, and I learned right quick to pray to the Lord. Another veer, and I was back on top. My chest met a branch, and it broke with a pop. I'm slung over the cantle. I'm looking up at the sky. I curl on up. I'm wondering, why? 'Cause here comes a limb straight to my nose. I guess old Thunder didn't hear my whoa, boy, whoas. Just about time I reach for the horn, there's a rock wall. We're airborne. My groin found the saddle. Right hand one rein, my teeth began to rattle. Bloody left digit stuck in his mane. Whoa, boy, whoa, when we slide to a stop. I couldn't believe it. I was still on top. Now here comes the posse to see if I'm okay. The first thing they did was check out this bay. I'm tore in two places, requiring stitches. Truth be told, I needed clean britches. Thank you. Thank you. Did you know that applause makes you look better? Yes, you're a good-looking bunch already, so here we go. Yeah, my name is Mark Munzert. You can call me Mark, or you can call me anything but late for. Thank you very much. And I'm a cowboy poet, so I cowboyed until my body gave out and I couldn't do it anymore. Then I started writing about it, and then quite by accident, I found cowboy poetry, which really is an oral tradition. And if you didn't see it or feel it or hear it in the first poem, a lot of what I do is in rhyme, and hopefully it has some meter to it as well. So we will explore some stories. Did you have a question back there? Okay. Nope. And we'll do some stories and tell you a little bit about the life that I find so endearing to me, and a little bit about cowboy culture along the way. Fair enough? Yeah, very good. Audience participation. Speaking of audience participation, we might as well do this one. Just a little bit of it in this one. This is called When, Then, and Smile Back, and it's something I would relate it to when I worked in the Dakotas. What gets pretty cold, you know. I remember one month that I wrote this poem. It never got above 12 degrees for the entire month of February. That's 12 below. Made me think twice about my occupation. When, then, and smile back. When your earlobes are afire of the slow burn and freeze, and you can't feel your fingers for the blowing polar breeze. When every step you worry that your toes might fall off, and regular your lungs put out a raspy cough. When you get thirsty and you can give your tongue a slip, and melt a chunk of ice hanging off your upper lip. When you dress yourself in layers and it don't do no good, and you should have quit a little early, but you never ever would. When the diesel needs a warm-up and the batteries are shot, you got a month-long head cold and your nose is full of... Then you're feeling sorry and you're full of whiny pity, and you start to dreaming about a cushy job over in the city. Then you really ponder about trading in your trade and finding an easier with a plumper paying grade. Why, then you are a doctor or a lawyer or some highfalutin pro. Why, you even schooled at Harvard. And there ain't nothing you don't know. Then your fancy swivel chair cushions your 10th floor view, and you got a staff of kiss butts that want to wait on you. Then you're tooling down the highway in your luxury sedan because you're late for a meeting to lay in bed and tan. Then you stop at Starbucks for espresso macchiato latte pana. And lunch is a tofu burger with sprouts and dessert, a banana. Then you're stuck in traffic for an hour, maybe two, when you're cellular enraged while you crawl a mile or a few. Then office politics cranks up and slams you down, and the market goes to pot, and you're kicked right out of town. When you welcome back the frostbite, hauling water through the snow, and you're fixing frozen fences where only Eskimos should go. When the trough's iced over and electric ain't working right, and coyotes come a-calling so you're sleeping half a night. When you turn on the hose and it splits right in half, just what you needed, a half-frozen calf. When the wind whips and bellows, scaring stock to a dash, and the water pump goes and you're left with little cash. When you've had your fill of this awesome winter fun and it's been a week, now a month since you saw the shining sun, then you start to thinking about that cushy job once again. And you're brought around by the whinnies from the pen. When your hoss comes on over to share some affection, you're reminded you're meant to live of this direction. When it's the simple things that make your world go round, and the easy way is the trail you never ever found. When your day is finally over and your butt is in the sack, and you look upon your day with a smile, you look back. Thank you. Thank you very much. I could go on for an hour. Oh, I'm supposed to. Yes, indeed. Very good. Great. Any horse people here? Anybody here ever have horses, ride horses? There's one. Oh, you afraid of that? Had a horse? Wonderful. Horses do so much for so many people. This one's kind of right from my heart, and it's about horses. I'll do a few of those today because a cowboy without a horse is still a cowboy, but with a horse he's one. That sounds like a poem. I might have to do that. Make one up. No. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Horses do more for me than I do for them. It had been one of those days that left me stressed. Me and those around me were not at our best. It had been too many days of upheaval and too many times that good lost to evil. Nothing was going right, and every try turned to a fight. We needed to get out and take a break, decompress for everyone's sake. Now, I can't explain the forces. I was drawn to nearby horses. Some folks went the other way. Jack Daniels, multiple beer foray. But I laid my hands on instead. All low heads while they fed. Geldings, 3 in all, not mine. I kind of knew them all. Sans my normal greeting, large muscles I began kneading. I rubbed their withers, haunches, top line, and ears, chest, neck, underbellies, all without fears. They were relaxed. They knew the deal. They knew how being there made me feel. A head lifts. I'd found a knot. Leg cocks, yeah, that's a spot. I lost the edge in our nonverbal exchange, roamed from stress to calm at home on their range. My hands were blackened, absorbing the dirt. No regrets about that once white shirt. The silt in my fingers felt so good as I walked away. I got the needed relief on that long day. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Horses do more for me than I do for them. Thank you. Thank you very much. You're getting better looking all the time. Oh, indeed. So I grew up on a 66,000 acre ranch in northern Arizona. The story is about the time I was 3.5 years old, we moved from Buffalo, New York to Cortez, Colorado. And my dad worked Air Force. He worked in Durango for a while till he was sent on to Germany. Mom was National Guard. She went to North Carolina. Mark was there with 5 guys, including my uncle, who came back from Vietnam and worked on the Bar XM Ranch, which over the next few years moved a few times from Colorado into northern Arizona and then to northeastern Arizona. So my experiences were that of a ranch kid, and I loved it, and I like to talk about those things to this day and encourage people to live that kind of life. It doesn't pay much, but the cowboy lifestyle is very endearing. One of those people that I worked with, we called him Lucky. Some people would say Lucky, and he'd say, no, my name is Lucky. And he found that lifestyle very endearing. I wrote about it. And this is how Lucky would explain it. Rope and strays and runaways in air so clear and pure. Lucky me for what I see in open range grandeur. Upon me colt as Dogie's bolt, there's no way that I can lose. If I miss me throw, I still know it's this cowboy life I choose. On my steady mount I can count, together we are a team. Just the two of us with no fuss, we're living out our dream. Mountains high, grass and water nigh, could you want of greater scope? Forage green, wave stock to glean, for these things I'll always hope. When day is done, I've had me fun, I'll disengage to me sock, and of me post, I've had the most. Amidst endearment, I shan't lack. Call me Lucky. Thank you. Then there's the real life experiences. And this is called An Old Cowboy Would, and an old cowboy did. A wet, cold, blustery day, one you wouldn't term a winter. I'm 10 minutes off the ranch, heading west towards dinner. I punch the gas and zoom right past this farm-wide load. Up ahead, 2 cars pulling to the side of the road. Emergency flashers engaged, high heels exits her SUV. The other, a portly jogging suit, waving arms like she. I stay left to give their cars room, and then I see the impending doom. 2 horses running scared parallel this farmland strip. I yank the wheel right, keeping a real tight grip. I'm 600 or so feet past, screech to the shoulder, reverse, torque, fast. Door flung, coat slung, grab a rope out of the truck's gearbox, scamper down the roadside drainage rocks. I spy a house a fair distance away, adjacent this field of last cut hay. There is no fence in sight. 2 quarter horses filled with fright. They turn and kick with each passing car, the hectic highway, none too far. Waving arms and here, pony, pony, here, pony, pony. Guard the road's edge. I'll try to push them away from the road towards a far-off hedge. I motion those helpful humans to stay calm. My mission to defuse this potential roadside bomb. Of patience with horses, I have sage, yet hastily I moved against that road's rage. As I approached, those horses are further nerved. They jogged away, sashayed and swerved. Agitated, fearful, still in flight mode. In seconds, they could be on that road. One's blanketed, neither a halter, blocking position, their path to alter. I toss my loop to drive them afar, further and further and further from each passing car. Forthwith, face to face, they don't want to move. Relaxing sounds and gestures put me in their groove. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, brings me in. I spoke softly above the roadway din. I fared well enough to drop the loop about one's neck. Thankful, so far, averting a wreck. It took a few more minutes for the unblanketed to heed. My digits in his mane, he responded to my lead. The soil was wet, and every step they'd sink. Each hoof forward took seconds to think. Drivers had pulled over ostensibly to aid, but beeping horns sounded as they came down the grade. High heels tiptoed the field at the road's border, offering her scarf to tie for the pony's order. I asked, which one of you's the pony? We all chortled, for now I was their crony. Hither comes a triple XL Carhartt and his very relieved-looking better half, she admonishing those boys for their venturing gaff. Handshake and thanks, a wave to the roadside crew. No big deal, just what an old cowboy would do. Thank you. Thank you very much. So I mentioned earlier I worked up in the Dakotas. I worked up in McIntosh County on the McIntosh Cattle Ranch for mostly day working. So I had already moved into a point where I realized I can't be a cowboy for all my life. And there is no retirement plan in Cowboy, and there is no medical benefits. So I took a job in the log and timber frame home business, but I still worked on the McIntosh. And it was not like Yellowstone, folks. There's no Mercedes-Benz or no pickup trucks without dents. And there's very little money. But I've had experiences. And this experience is a true one. And I had left full-time employment there and always went back to help out. Old Marley was the owner. He's since passed on. October 2013, I got a call. Can you get up here? I said, what's going on? Well, I asked you, can you get up here? Yeah, what do you need? Well, we got a northern coming, and I got cows up in the top pastures. I need you up here, okay? Yes, sir, we'll get right up. And I was traveling with a friend of mine, and we went up to help Mr. Marley there. And for my part in this poem and for my part in those days working, I was honored really just to be called a good hand. I didn't need a check. I didn't need a belt buckle. There was more an intrinsic value in knowing that I used my skills and I worked with my pride to help them out. And it's called Good Hand. For 3 days, we're dragging plains and ridges. We brung 70 down a muddy draw. North winds blowing cold and early. More than one calf we found raw. Me and Marley figured another 30 stranded way up beyond dried up Kusky Lake. We'll be trudging near full day to get close. It's what you do for them cows' sake. The grass was really nice up there, went through 3 weeks ago. Gets cold so fast that falling leaves land as frozen snow. We dug one out adrift, clear about its head, nearly left another one, giving her up for dead. Till her mama went to bawling, telling us not to go. We looped her neck and dallied tight and drug her across the snow. Them cows knew right then we was there to head 'em home. Not a one of 'em slowed a piece or looked about to roam. Didn't take much push. I kept the pace right brisk, and shortcutting from Widow's Ridge was surely worth the risk. Now the stove wood is a crackling, we're finally warming up. Chance to set a spell and down a hot bitters cup. The cows are safe and the horses are chowing too. Boys, We'll eat, sleep, pack up in the morning, some jerky, coffee, biscuits, and some chew. We'll let out at dawn and head south along the rail, turn up where she rises around old Hank's trail. Well, dawn breaks brisk with a fresh white blanket on the ground, pony and extra mounts, muffled hooves the only sound. Daylight catches up as we cross into the pines. The cold, crisp air lends echo to distant battling tines. Beyond the hoof drops on nature's layered compost debris, I listen further than my eyes can see. I hear, beyond my gelding's breath and saddle squeak, not a sound, but death's stench as the horses balk at crossing McMullen's Creek. Ice-tinged banks line rushing waters of early snows and thaws. Melting slush can't mask tracks of bloodied lions' paws. The horses' ears alerted, their nostrils flared out wide. Takes a trusting bump to cross them to the other side. Up the bank, drag marks, clearly a fresh kill. Traversing pines, paw prints and blood spots stain the rising hill. What you figure it's got, a young cow or a deer? I reckon it don't matter now. The horses sense it's near. Marley slides his chester from its scabbard. Just in case, you see. Well, that cat's already got its meal. We ought ride on and let him be. A few more hours hoofing. Across the lake, they're hunkered in the trees. Some need burying, some warming in snow up past our knees. We finally finish and high-string the horses, set camp upwind of the cattle. Too tired to be hungry. Pine boughs for a bed, pillow, a saddle. Nearly 3 full hours of shivering shut-eye, waking to fast falling flurries from the sky. Fire up the coffee. Distant yelps tell coyotes found their prey, and the snow turns to pelting ice as we head out on our way. We guide them past the lake bed and over rolling hills, crossing windy ridges where icy ground causes spills. Nightfall finds flatter ground and the bovine quicken pace. They know the winter pasture as a more forgiving place. The cows are safe. The horses are watered and feeding. We lurch over to the bunkhouse for eating and deep sleeping. Just cowboys, doing the best that we can do for livestock and the brand. Pride in what we do, being a good hand. Thank you. Huh? Anybody doze off on me? Thank goodness. Wouldn't be the first time. That's the longest one I have, and I have one other long one, but it's almost double that, and I'm afraid to do it in public, so you're off the hook on that one. So I didn't bring a set list today, so I had to bring my new book. I'm real excited about my book. This just got to us in the last week, and they just came out on Tuesday, so I'm pretty excited about it. I never did write a book before, and this one has 46 poems in it, and I've written about 160, so hopefully they're the better ones. I've done 2 CDs. The stories in cowboy poetry are really historic, and sometimes you'll hear that they started around campfires, which they probably did, and going back to after the Civil War, and the cowboys having something to do at night when the cattle were all grazing. I have a poem that I do here. It's called Cowpokes in a Heap, and this is kind of a conglomeration of the actual cattle drives that I was on as a young kid. And some of my memories are in this, but the cowpokes in a heap really referred to the way the trail boss wanted all the bedrolls all in one spot in case of danger at nighttime. So in case of a stampede or bad weather or wolves prowling or grizzlies or what have you, we were always put into a heap, and that's where it got its name. Not sure it really makes much sense, but that's where it got its name. Old hats at the wagon gate, debating about the trail. These cowpokes tempt fate, while others ship by rail. Boots that are made for working, trousers old and worn. Coffee's pert near perkin', wake up, it's nearly morn. The crew begins assembling, the remuda coming in. 30 horse ground trembling, let dawn's long rise begin. The trail boss bellows, "Wake up!" And the cook clangs with his metal spoon, "Fill your bellies, boys, ain't no rest till noon." Old bones, they are a-aching, the young'uns are quick to chow. "You want some of this here bacon? You better get it now." First morsel of the new dawn, sleep rubbed from their eyes. Breakfast grub quick gone, a hungry bunch of guys. The leathers are a-creaking as we coo to our mounts. The campfire like a beacon as the sun begins moon's trounce. "Tighten up that cinch, best tuck them bedrolls in." I listen to morning orders as I take a pinch from a little tin. "Russ and Joe, you ride flank. Henry, you got drag." "Oh, shucks, boss, I know them boys got rank, but all I'll do is gag." "I ain't got no time for favorites, son, so keep your rag on high. Don't let none get around the end. Out here, they'll up and die." So up into the foothills and down the valleys wide, river crossing, test of wills, we're riding side by side. I don't think we lost one. Well, that's a dang good thing. Morning's nearly over and some of them old boys begin to sing. "Let's pull up here and take a rest. Give them bovine a break. Richard, check up over that crest. The trail should sort of snake." Jerky and a biscuit. That's what you get for Chuck. Maybe a swig of lukewarm coffee if you're quick and in luck. The afternoon across a former prairie, sand dry to the bone. The wind whipped our butts that day, wore down my quarter roan. Cows too tired for bawling, horses with shut eye, fire stare, sleep a-calling under darkening starry sky. Again we come to nightfall, fed then fall toward sleep, with coyotes howling night call, cowpokes in a heap. Thank you. Thank you. I think I'll do a little love poem now. Don't get too excited. This is called He, She, Me. He, long, lean, and handsome, and oh so very bold. She, a fine ranching cowgirl with a heart of gold. Me, short and stumpy, but for her, do as I'm told. He gets all her attention, and I think they're having a fling. She says he's very talented and can do most anything. Me, shower her with love, but no, she won't take the diamond ring. He has all the makings, a veritable king of the hill. She feels for him, frequently feeds him until he's had his fill. Me, I once got cold leftovers, but I always foot the bill. He never says a word to me. I consider him an arrogant creep. She loves his hair, stares into his eyes and says, he's soulful and really deep. Me, I truly care for her. I'd do anything for her, but now I don't sleep. He is rather large and strong, and oft times I'm left in fear. She has less for me and more for him, and now it's crystal clear. Me, I get my courage up, then it wanes near a tear. He knows she's in love with him, flaunts it and shows me no remorse. She says, I must follow my heart's course. Me, I hope they're happy, but I hate that long, lean, handsome horse. Thank you. Thank you. Any poets out there? That's good. It's not that hard to write poetry. Everybody knows a poem. It's Roses Are Red, or how many of you know beans? Beans, a musical fruit, right? Yeah, we do all those with the fourth grade classes. A lot of these gatherings that we go to, we go into the school systems, and you'd be surprised at what those kids come up with. Speaking of kids, I asked that question once when I was doing this thing at a dude ranch, and I said to the audience, I said, anybody out there have a poem they'd like to do? And Myron was sitting right about here from me, And I'd known Myron. He'd brought his family to this dude ranch for well over 30 years and a few generations. And his little granddaughter's sitting on his lap, and he pats her on the bum and says, "Go ahead, honey." I should have known right then. And she comes up, and I look at her, and I said, "Would you like to do a poem, honey?" Duh. And I hand her the microphone. Marcia had a little, oh no, you mean Mary had a little pig. Marcia was her sister. I handed her the microphone. Marcia had a little pig, but now her pig was dead. It still goes to school with her, but on Wonder Bread. Yeah, best poem ever. Yeah, shown up by a 7-year-old, you know. Lovely, lovely stuff. Oh yeah, I try and do a poem now. How about a tough one? This is a tough one. It's tough to do from an emotional standpoint, and I love to do it. It says a lot about cowboy life and death, so I'm just going to do it. Hope you like it. I don't mean to be maudlin, but it is what it is. I went to a funeral just the other day. An old cowboy passed away. His family didn't understand him, nor his ways to roam. They laid our part out in this hoity funeral home. Funny to see dusty boots and hats come respectin', when suits and ties, what's they're expectin'. Nicest studs I ever seen him in, all dressed in Amish black. Looks so good, the old puncher might have liked to come back. 'Twas elegant dresses with moist eyes and murmured tones from them suits and ties. Kids bewildered at all the cowfolks there to wish him well, and amazed at the stories about him they would tell. A preacher for the service to send him on his way to meet the Almighty Maker on that heart-heavy day. Fancy limos to haul to his final resting place, shiny cars and dented pickups in a long line of grace. As far as I knew, he'd rather be alone than have all that fuss. He liked lonely much, much more. Ornery old cuss. He weren't much for parties, nor pomp and circumstance. I half expected him to push up and give a spiteful dance. Now, as we're at the marker, and they're lowering him to ground, some commotion on behind, and heads swivel all around. His grandson, with a lead line attached to granddad's horse. Tain't a proper burial without your best friend, of course. I went to a funeral just the other day. My old grandpa, he passed away. Thank you. Thank you. Seldom times, be they few and far between, you will not know it, nor will it be seen. But if it's the truth that you must know, well, yes, tears of cowboys surely flow. He'll stifle the stream and look away, but his head can't keep his heart at bay. He might be talking to his maker, or pondering the fate of kin. Might be doubting or regretting. Both gets under his skin. He might be listening to the anthem as Old Glory flies. Might be happy as a lark as a newborn baby cries. He might be pondering the lives of them whose trails he's crossed. Might be wrenching over others whose earthly souls are lost. He might be reaching for expectations that aren't being met. Might be striving to get there, but Dad Byrne, he ain't there yet. He might be lamenting over a horse that's gone before. He might be reckoning that soon they'll ride once more. You ever wonder what makes him as strong as you think he is? It's that ability to feel. It's that deep heart that's his. Crying ain't for the weak. That's sweat of the soul. Them without tears pays a heap heavier toll. Always and ever a cowboy's heart's a fill, but rarely, if ever, will you see it spill. But if it's the truth that you must know, well, yes, tears of cowboys surely flow. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm in need of some juice there. Mwah. Well, now that I brought you all down, maybe we ought to do something a little different. Let's do another horse poem. If you've been around horses, one of the things you'll learn real quick is there's a big difference between predator and prey. And a horse is a prey animal. And when they're in trouble, what do? Do they turn and fight, or do they turn and run? They turn and run. And sometimes you think you have a horse well trained and he can handle anything like a gunshot. He can handle, an elephant in the other yard over there, or a mouse in his stall, and they cannot. They aren't. That's instinct. They are geared to run away from trouble. So you got to be careful when you are training horses, and I've trained plenty. Usually when you're asked to train a horse, what you really need to do is train the horse's owner. But in this particular instance, I was working with a horse. He was green broke, which means I could get a halter on him, I could get a saddle on him, I could get on him. But he needed work. He needed, like an athlete, to sweat. He needed to work. He needed a job. So I took him out, and it was a fairly cold day. Well, I'll just tell you the poem. Just remember, they can run. I got to figure out the beginning of this poem. This happens to the best of them, just not me. The sunshine rebounds the snow as hooves crack the thin cover of crust that blankets underlying layers of white. Frosty breath emits with, whoa, no need to tug on the reins, just trust that the next hoof drop forward may not be quite right. Our eyes fix forward, fighting the glare of the down landscape, chock-a-block of trees that yield but inkling to movement in the woodlands. Flared nostrils and tipped ears warn, we stare, both knowing something is amiss. We freeze in our tracks, silent, still, with no need for commands. Hushed in our noiseless milieu, waiting, wondering what it is that affects stop from our appointed rounds, and what might transpire to slack us of immobility. Thick, moist air weighs anchor to our mustering as tense, taut muscles dispose for levy at first sound or sight of danger, engagement, or rapturous hostility. A flashing displacement of light and ground snow sailing around the base of bristlecone and Douglas fir, whilst haunches descend in plan for flight. Roll back, catapult, driving gallop. We are bailing, with snow trail launching rearward. I peer into blur to see sight of that which caused our fright. For fear of dying, I'm near about crying, and my steed is hot-footing like there's no tomorrow. Will I ever again see my kin or honey? A flash of brown, or was it tan? A bear or lion? I'm thinking, no, I'm praying this don't end in sorrow. Oh my gosh, it's right on her heels. It's a ferocious bunny. Oh, you people are good. Kathy even applauded to that one. She's heard that 100 times too. Yeah. Oh, poor Kathy. She puts up with me. So the other day I did this poem, and we're in an audience, maybe 200 or so people crammed into a room, and I say, Kathy, come here, and she's looking at me like a deer in the headlights. I won't do it to her today. Oh. He takes her hand from the table. They shuffle together to the floor, dancing, true love's oldest label. Tonight, she twirls once more. Her pendant charm, his checkered shirt, arm in arm, wrinkled smiles flirt. Beyond the bolo hat and bolo tie, no love stray cat, a glimmer in his eye. Posture, a little fearful, life's pains now worn outside. But tonight's about the cheerful as he tugs her to his side. They move as if they are one, her head propped upon his chest. The slow one's her most fun. He damned if they miss the rest. Her pursed lips don't move, but her manner says it all. She's in the my man groove, and her pride stands tall. This is his woman, and his stomp declares it strong that there's true love, and it lasts their whole life long. Thank you. Yeah, I tell Kathy all the time, I have a feeling. One. Oh, yeah, we're good. She loves me for whatever reason, I'm not sure. Okay, so I told you I like to talk about cowboy culture and what it's supposed to be. I wrote this next poem thinking about what's supposed to be under the hat and not talking about hair. I'm talking about what's really supposed to be under this symbol of American cowboys. And to me, it's everything that the Yellowstone series is not. It's without a lecture, it's about integrity, it's about honesty, it's about taking care of the land and the animals and the people, and it's about love. This poem is called Influence, and it's a true story. Every poet says it's a true story. That's called poetic license. I was down to the mill to pick up some feed. I caught a drift. This kid been puffing weed. This young fellow there, not moving too fast, nodded at me in the aisle we passed. I didn't cipher it right off, but now I knew who he was. The grapevine eluded his penchant for wacky weed buzz. I'd known his dad before he'd passed on. The youngin' was looking for gloves to don. His boots was lacers, neither one tied. He picked these thick-lined mitts that he had tried. His pa would have let him to lace his boots up tight. Likely would have told him to tuck his shirt in right. We're waiting to pay, and he sticks out his hand. The callous has told me he had his old man sand. He addressed me, "Sir, you was pards with my dad?" He winced as he said it. His expression was sad. For many years, his pa and I was thick as kin. Why, I thought that was you. You've grown some. How long's it been? Not counting Dad's funeral, the homecoming game 6 years ago. Before that, in winter, my junior year, you gave us a tow. His father pulled away some after my divorce. My ex was good pals with the youngin's mother. I understood, yet both his pa and I knew either would have the back of the other. We'd run into each other once in a while after that and catch up on daily life. He'd always invite me to stop by any time and reclaim good graces with the wife. We both knew that wouldn't work. But there was always interest and goodwill. Oddly enough, the last time I saw him standing and breathing was right there at that mill. That's a nice hat, is it new? No, actually had it quite a while. Dad had one with the same crown, he said with a smile. I don't wear mine much, it gets in the way. I'm shoeing for a living. Ma stressed to wear one the other day, took family pictures at Thanksgiving. Always makes me think of him. I got all his old ones. I keep him in a trunk with all his guns. Maybe you ought to start wearing your old man's brim. He'd be honored and as a reminder to him. Surely he is a most personable sort, and no doubt an inherited trait. I was darn tempted to lecture about the weed and put his butt straight. It struck me. It wasn't my place to pass judgment on this young son. He'd been through more than most, and sure enough, not fun. Dreams shattered. No school, no sports. Now a hard-working buck. losing his healer, his hero, his dad, was real tough luck. No, I didn't cotton his chosen affliction, but we all go through seasons, and maybe, just maybe, the Lord put us together for good reasons. I asked him to breakfast. We did us some talking, spoke of times with his dad and the path he was walking. Politely, he tried to pick up the check, for I reminded him 'twas my invitation. Said he enjoyed the chuck and catching up. We agreed next week, same time and station. Been 10 weeks for breakfast. We both enjoy the chat. This morning, I noticed he's wearing his old man's hat. Thank you. There he is. Give him a hand, ladies and gentlemen. He's here to lead us in a cheer. Thank you for your service, sir. I got to pick out another one now. I'm doing all right for time, boss? All right. All right. This is, we were just out in Arizona, and oh boy, are they in a drought. And most of the West is. And coincidentally, on Sunday, as we're leaving, we ran into a thunder lightning storm that quelled their thirst for a few minutes, really. But Kathy was coming out of the little convenience store while I was pumping gas, and boy, oh boy, that thunder clapped, and she just went up faster and faster. She got to the car real fast. But I learned real early on how important that rain is out there. And I didn't write this when I was young. I didn't really write any poetry until in my 50s, late 50s at that. And this one I wrote after moving to upstate New York. I wrote it on the inside of my slicker as a storm came in. I used a grease pencil, but it's still partly in that slicker. It's called Ranch Rain. Everybody talks about the weather. The sun squints, clouds roll in. Smell it coming, carried on wind. Sprinkle, drizzle hanging there. It's in currents, moist, full air. Button up, tire down. Storm's coming, I hear its sound as droplets drip on my rodeo king. Splatter my slicker, it begins to sing. Branches break and crops sway, sweet torrents drown sound away. Pouring puddles, carving ruts, cow dogs, drenched mutts. Cross the creek and up the hill, cold is coming, I feel its chill. Mud squishes with each stride, steady the big quarters Cadillac glide. Collar up, saddle creaking, murky sight, my boots are leaking. I drop my blade in the muck. Wise guy chimes, nice day for duck. Yeah, funny, original, heard that before. Bucket rain, big floods, great lore. All God's creatures soaked in strain. Mostly, I enjoy it. Old bones, though, pain. Flash and rumble from dark sky, likely a message from on high. Here's your water, mind it well. Life without is Dust Bowl hell. Gone as quickly as it came, nothing untouched, never the same. The aroma, it lingers still, just weather or God's will. Thank you very much. How are we doing, all right? All right, as long as you like it. I'll keep sprouting. I'll figure out what next here, though. I haven't done this one in public very much. I think maybe once. I call this Don't Worry, We'll Get Through. Or as I heard it the first few hundred times I heard it, don't worry, we'll get through. And this was for a ranch I worked with in north of Las Cruces, New Mexico. And this one, I'll say it again. This is a true story. And it pretty much is too, so hang with me. And it's only meant to illustrate that the ranching life is not easy, and it's not like you see on, anybody here watch Yellowstone? Oh, good, I hate you. It could be nothing further from the truth, but anyway, it's, you know what though, I always tell people that Yellowstone, as much as I dislike it, I grew up in a bunkhouse, I never heard a swear word till I was 14 years old, and that was a slip, and I heard my uncle give it. And it was an easy one. But I never heard language like there. I never seen a ranch with, a bunch of cowhands that could work all day long and drink beer and play cards all night and get up and do it again. And we never dropped anybody off at the bus station dead, and we never carried sidearms to kill each other. But it did raise more and more awareness for Western lifestyle and cowboy culture. And all you got to do is watch television to see it today. Just about every other commercial's got a cowboy hat in it now, or maybe I'm exaggerating a little, but it really has made a difference. And our crowds continue to get bigger and bigger. And I want to say that I believe it's because people want to get back to what's real. And all our kids today are absolutely addicted to these phone things, and when it'd be a lot better if they're outside, even if they get run over by the cow. So, all right, so this is called Don't Worry, We'll Get Through. The old rancher finally gave up the horse and succumbed to an ATV four-wheel. He had to have both hips replaced after the drunk wrecked him and his automobile. His wife and he were headed to town to celebrate their 40th when the truck slid into their lane. A head-on collision, hydroplaning the official report, and they'd been praying for some rain. No doubt at the scene, the truck driver was staggering, but lied through his minor abrasions. Trapped in their car, Ma fared better than he. No broken bones, but many glass shard lacerations. The jaws of life were applied, and he was freed, and they wrapped up that what was bleeding. Emergency surgery for internal injuries is what he'd be needing. It was touch and go through the night, and he didn't awake until late the next day. His wife, bandages wrapped her head, asleep in a chair in his post-op bay. Her touch to his cheek and kiss to his lips spoke eons of the love between the two. Their hands clenched with occasional squeeze. He says, "Don't worry, we'll get through." 9 weeks it took until he returned to the ranch, and then by wheelchair. It'd be another month before he could walk, and they credited the prayer. A window gave him view, pleased the hands-up auntie and handled things right well. Of course, the banker and townfolk figured the old man's ranch would go straight to, well, there was his son to guide the ranch, and more than a few able, loyal hands, those he could rely on, some better than 10 years that knew cow, horse, and lands. Insurance pays just so much, and medical bills began to pile. Ma fretted. He reassured, chuckling and faking his now toothless smile. Uh-oh. Taking his toothless smile. Did you ever hear me sing? All right, I lost that one. It's probably a reason I haven't done it in a long time. Sorry. I'll sing you one. I actually wrote a song. Alicia heard this once, I think, too, probably. This is my coffee song. I woke up fast this morning, I was running kind of late, tied my shoelace in a knot, and I caught it in the gate. I was falling, aiming for the hay, my go-cup decided to go the other way. I missed the hay, I hit the rail, my go-cup ended upright floating in a pail. I tumbled like a weed, landing in a heap, stay out too late, that's what you reap. So I figured full of coffee, I got a better chance of keeping my feet doing a barnyard dance. All right. Yeah, that's the extent of my singing. I apologize about that poem. It's a good poem. Honest, it really is. But It got lost in the cobwebs upstairs. Well, my time is about done here. I really appreciate y'all. I always like to finish things off at the campfire at night, so let's do that. Ash settles, blazes spark, bud on stump, soul is stark. Eyes of fire reflect blank stare, upward thoughts, surely prayer. Wood inflamed, unraveling bark, inferno glow in lightning dark. Thanks, needs, hopes, dreams, the stars hold answer beams. Crackling fuel sings lullaby, echoing hymn unto the sky. Billowing smoke of rising heat, earthly pleas to heaven's seat. Thank you for listening to my story by poem. May the Lord bless you where you roam. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.